Donald Trump's prospects for winning the 2024 presidential election have surged dramatically, with current estimates placing his chances at an impressive 58. This marks a significant turnaround in the political landscape as we inch closer to Election Day. Just a few weeks ago, the situation looked quite different. Kamala Harris had emerged as the Democratic candidate after Joe Biden decided not to seek re-election, and she was actually leading the race by a narrow margin. However, as of now, the tide has shifted decidedly in Trump's favor, making him the frontrunner in the upcoming election. Harris, who was once seen as the candidate with a potential edge, is now finding it increasingly difficult to maintain her position, prompting widespread speculation about the factors driving this considerable change in voter sentiment. As a remarkable rise in Trump's chances, as reflected in both polls and betting markets, suggests that his campaign is gaining significant momentum, while Harris's campaign seems to be losing steam just as the election approaches. So what has led to this substantial change, and what key elements are contributing to Trump's resurgence while Harris struggles? To truly understand the implications of this shift, we must focus on the battleground states that will play a pivotal role in determining the outcome of the election. These states are not firmly aligned with either party and can swing either way, depending on a range of factors, including the candidate's appeal, pressing national issues, and the broader political climate. Presently, approximately 11 states are identified as battlegrounds, and they have become the epicenter of intense campaign, polling, and media scrutiny in recent weeks. It's in these critical areas that Trump's campaign appears to be gaining traction, while Harris faces her most daunting challenges. One of the most significant developments has occurred in Michigan, a state that has traditionally leaned Democratic. Just 3 weeks ago, Trump's odds of winning Michigan were estimated at a mere 33, suggesting that Harris and the Democrats held a clear advantage. Given Michigan's historical allegiance to the Democratic Party, particularly in presidential elections, it seemed likely that Harris could count on this key territory. Yet as of today, Trump's odds of winning Michigan have skyrocketed to 54, meaning he now possesses a majority chance of securing this crucial state. This dramatic turnaround is crucial because it indicates that Michigan, once considered relatively safe for Democrats, has morphed into a battleground that could tilt the election in favor of Trump. This is especially significant considering that in the 2020 election, Biden managed to win Michigan, but recent polling trends show Trump building a coalition strong enough to potentially reclaim the state for the Republicans in 2024. Next, let's examine Nevada, where Trump's campaign is also making notable gains. For the past couple of months, Kamala Harris held a slight lead in Nevada, and political analysts generally regarded the state as leaning Democratic. However, the race has now reached a virtual stalemate, with both Trump and Harris boasting a 50 chance of winning. In fact, Trump has even gained a slight edge in the polling averages, leading Harris by 0.5. While this margin may seem minimal in a state where every single vote carries considerable weight, even a small lead can have profound implications. A recent poll by the Wall Street Journal indicated that Trump holds a solid 6-point advantage over Harris in Nevada, which is particularly striking given the Wall Street Journal's tendency to lean left in its polling analyses. This 6-point lead serves as compelling evidence that Trump's campaign is gaining momentum. Notably, Nevada has not voted for a Republican in a presidential election since 2004, so if Trump manages to flip this state in 2024, it would be a significant victory for his campaign and a major setback for Harris. Before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Arizona, another crucial battleground from the 2020 election, is currently trending in Trump's favor as well. His chances of winning Arizona have now reached a robust 68, which is noteworthy considering that Biden narrowly won the state in the last election. In 2020, Biden flipped Arizona by a razor-thin margin of just 0.31, but it seems that Trump is poised to reclaim it. Interestingly, Trump's chances of winning Arizona today are comparable to those he had in mid-July, even prior to Biden's decision to step down from the race. Despite Kamala Harris taking the helm as the Democratic nominee, her campaign has struggled to generate enough momentum in Arizona to challenge Trump's lead. Current polling averages show Trump ahead of Harris by 1.1, and a recent New York Times survey indicates a 5-point advantage for Trump. Although Harris did experience a temporary surge following the Democratic National Convention, the bump has faded, and Trump's position in Arizona has solidified. If these trends continue, Arizona could be pivotal in determining the overall outcome of the election. In Texas, a state that has historically leaned Republican, Trump is enjoying a commanding lead. His odds of winning Texas are currently an astounding 91, showcasing his strong grip on this critical state. Although there is a competitive Senate race underway, Ted Cruz is running for re-election. Trump's position on the presidential front appears secure. In 2020, early polling suggested a much tighter race in Texas, with predictions indicating a victory for Trump by a margin of just one. Ultimately, he won the state by a more comfortable 6-point margin. At this point, Trump's lead in Texas remains around 6 points, and it's anticipated that he will either maintain or even expand that advantage as Election Day approaches. Though Harris has made attempts to penetrate the Texas voter base, the data indicates that her campaign is failing to make a significant impact. As it stands, Texas appears firmly in Trump's corner, a scenario that seems unlikely to change in the near future. As we turn our focus to the Midwest, the picture for Harris looks increasingly grim. This region is home to several key battleground states, including Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, where Harris must perform exceptionally well if she has any hope of securing the presidency. However, polling data in these states indicates significant hurdles for her campaign. Let's begin with Wisconsin, where just a few weeks ago, Harris enjoyed a strong 60 chance of winning. Out of today, however, her odds have dipped to 47, with Trump now taking the lead in Wisconsin for the first time in months. While Harris still holds a slight advantage in polling averages, the margin is razor thin, and polling history suggests that she cannot take anything for granted. In 2016, polls had projected Hillary Clinton to lead Wisconsin by a substantial 6 points, yet Trump ended up winning the state. Similarly, in 2020, Biden was anticipated to secure Wisconsin by 6.3, but his victory was narrow, coming in at just 0.6. Given this history of polling inaccuracies, Harris's slim lead in the current polls may not be as stable as it appears, and betting markets are already showing a preference for Trump in Wisconsin. Now, let's turn our attention to Michigan, where Harris is facing significant challenges. Just a few weeks ago, her chances of winning Michigan were estimated at a robust 70, but today that figure has plummeted to just 46, with Trump now leading. Historically, Michigan has been a more liberal-leaning battleground state, yet even here, Trump's campaign is making considerable inroads. In the 2020 election, Biden won Michigan by nearly 3 points, but recent polling averages show Trump ahead of Harris by 1. Similar to Wisconsin, Michigan's polling history has consistently underestimated Trump's support. In 2016, Hillary Clinton was expected to win Michigan by over 11 points, yet Trump prevailed. Biden's victory in 2020 was also narrower than anticipated, and with Trump currently leading in both polls and betting markets, Michigan appears to be shifting toward the Republican Party. If Trump secures Michigan, it would deliver a severe blow to Harris's chances of winning the election. Now let's examine Pennsylvania, a state often regarded as the most critical battleground in the race. Trump's campaign is currently experiencing a notable upswing in Pennsylvania, where he boasts a 56 chance of victory and has been leading in the polls for several weeks. So his lead is marginal, just 0.3. The overall trend indicates that Pennsylvania is leaning toward Trump. This state has historically been a crucial player in presidential elections, and its 20 electoral votes are essential for any candidate strategy. If Trump successfully captures Pennsylvania, Harris's path to the presidency becomes incredibly challenging, complicating her campaign even further. In the southern states, North Carolina presents another battleground where Trump is gaining ground. He currently leads in the polling averages by 3 points, while Harris's chances of winning the state have dropped to just 34. North Carolina has generally leaned Republican in recent elections, and the data suggests that Trump is well on track to win there again in 2024. Harris's campaign hasn't gained significant traction in North Carolina, and unless something dramatically changes, Trump is likely to maintain his lead. In Georgia, another state that Biden flipped in 2020, Trump is now reasserting control. His chances of winning Georgia stand at 64, and he currently leads Harris by 0.7 in the polling averages. Georgia has historically served as a battleground in previous elections, but Trump's recent gains indicate a potential shift back toward the Republican side. If he manages to reclaim Georgia, it would represent yet another critical victory for his campaign, further complicating Harris's efforts. Finally, let's discuss Florida, a state that has consistently leaned Republican in recent elections. Here, Harris appears to be at a considerable disadvantage. Trump boasts an overwhelming 90 chance of winning Florida and currently leads by more than 6 points in the polls. Despite the Democratic Party's hopes that Florida could be a competitive state, the data suggests it remains firmly in Trump's grasp as we approach the election. And When we take a comprehensive look at the electoral map, it becomes increasingly clear that Trump is well positioned to secure a significant victory in 2024. If current trends persist, he could capture enough electoral votes to achieve a landslide victory. In contrast, Harris's chances seem increasingly precarious, and her path to the presidency is becoming ever more convoluted. As we analyze these developments, it's evident that the political landscape is in flux and many factors are still at play. The coming weeks and months will be critical, and we'll be keeping a close watch on the unfolding developments. Stay tuned for more updates as we approach the election.